But actually now it's like, how do I get to that? What actions do I need to take each day to actually achieve that? So instead of just me now writing goals, I sort of write a goal and then work backwards and work out what the daily task or number is I need to do to achieve that goal. Because then it's a case of, if you get to the end of the 6 months in this case, and I haven't achieved the goal, it's just a case of, have you done the daily actions or not?
Yes.
Rather than it being, have I achieved the goal or have I not? It's, did you do what was necessary to achieve it? If yes, that's why you've achieved it. If not, that's why you haven't. So
100%.
That's definitely helped more recently, especially in getting clients. So I really struggled with clients, with client acquisition. And it wasn't until I really started sort of daily activities to getting clients, whether that be adding people on LinkedIn, messaging them on LinkedIn, sending 10 emails a day, that sort of a thing, where I actually saw that progress happen.
So what you're saying is, okay, you had the goal, but now you've had to break it down into smaller parts. And that in itself gave you that progression of, okay, this is how I'm going to get clients.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. I went to a goals setting workshop, and the woman who ran the workshop said, don't get caught up in the outcome, fall in love with the process to get to the outcome. It landed on me because, one, I love a good process. But two, I think the more that you fall in love with the process, not saying like the goal doesn't mean anything, but it means that you're falling in love in the actions that it takes to get to this outcome.
Definitely.
So
definitely. Yeah, the goal in a way is almost irrelevant. Like once you've said it, it should become irrelevant.
Yes.
Because then it's about actually actioning, taking action towards the goal. And
100%.
To your point, the more you fall in love with that journey, the more that the goal becomes a sort of second consequence of the work that you've put in.
Yeah.
And that's why when I wrote that, my mindset, I believe, was too fixated on the outcome, what the end result was going to be, rather than actually what I could do on a day-to-day that would get me to that point.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised, especially with content. Content's is really one you've got to maintain daily actions on.
Yes.
And there's zero reward, immediate reward, at least when you start out. So it's really important to just maintain that daily actions. And then inevitably, people will find your channel, they'll like the content that you produce, and they'll likely start following you. But it's not until you've actually started consistently posting, regularly posting, that people see, okay, this account is worth following and is worth my time.
Yeah. I want to hear about the hard that has been involved in your journey so far. Tell us all about it.
There's many. No, there's a lot. I think when you start out with anything, you're always going to have failures and unforeseen failures as well. So things that you believe are going to go well and they go completely wrong. So there's been a lot of that in building my business and then also building my content channel. I'd say the biggest ones for me have been around clients when I was in my phase of I couldn't give my service away for free, let alone get someone to pay me for it, right? But when I was in that moment in time, I found that when I got rejected, I took it quite personally in a way, and it kind of felt more personal than it necessarily needed to be. Yeah. But there's lots of that, and actually it's a case of trying to get as many rejections. The more rejections you have, the closer you are to a yes, essentially.
Yeah. Yes.
So you kind of you got to keep powering through those. Yeah. But whatever you do, you're going to have pushback, people that might critique it, people that might look at it and laugh. Everything is cringy until it's cool. Yeah. And you just got to be strong enough to push on through that.
Yeah. You were telling me about your experience cold calling clients. Can you walk us through what that was like for you and the painful journey that you had to go through yourself?
Yeah, sure. It wasn't too painful. And I think that was for one of two reasons. One, when I first started, I was just calling businesses for market research purposes. Right. So I wasn't that man on the phone trying to sell them something. I was merely calling up, asking what problems they have in their business, but essentially asking for their help.
Yeah.
And I think if you ask anyone for their help rather than do you
that's
want to buy
true.
something,
That's so
they're
true.
much more inclined to entertain it. And
Yes.
from my experience, I must have called a good number of businesses, let's say 50, and I don't think one of them really put the phone down on me in a manner that was like, leave me alone. They were all quite receptive, albeit some didn't have as long time as others.
Yeah.
But I had phone calls that were 15, 20 minutes long with people because I was asking about them and their business. And no one loves speaking more about themselves than anything, right?
Yeah.
So that was my introduction to cold calling. I then did move it. So once I kind of got the information that I needed, had worked out what services I could provide to these businesses that would help them and solve these problems that they were having. Once I'd done that, I did start selling. And obviously I was terrible at it at the start. And to be honest, I'm still a very, very much a beginner in that domain as is. But
what was your opening line?
What was my opening line? That's a great question. When I first started, I was so nervous when I first started, like really, really nervous. So I was sort of just, hi, my name is James. Are you interested in any digital marketing services? And of course that got an absolute no-no. And then I tried a little bit more salesy stuff. I did a bit of YouTube searching and brainstorming, and came across a few channels that mainly like American channels that were quite sort of hardcore sales. But here in the UK, I realized that going back to my previous experience with speaking with clients and them loving speaking about themselves, I wanted to make it as least cold and salesy and make it more warm, and I've identified an opportunity for your business.
Got you.
Not I'm here to sell you something.
Yeah.
So I would lead with something along the lines of, hi, it's James from JMCLabs. I've just had a look through your website and your ads. I think we could be doing this much better than we are. Or, hi, it's James from JMCLabs. I've just had a look at your ads and they're actually not clicking through to the right page they should. If you go direct to a product page, it will convert better. So giving them something more than just a cold pitch, actually providing them some form of value and giving them a bit of an incentive to continue the phone call.
100%. And especially if you've identified, hey, there's something not quite right on your website, which is potentially preventing you from gaining additional profit.
Definitely.
I'm here to help you with this. More than likely, as you said, you've made them warm.
Yeah, and that worked a lot more than any cold introduction that I had. So that would be one tip, I guess, I'd give is get relatively good experience on the phone without pitching. Just call up businesses and get a good understanding of what problems they have. Do some market research. And that will make you better on the phone as is anyway. When I first did that, I really didn't want to pick up the phone. I was just so nervous to do it as is. But once I'd done that, it was really quite, not easy to continue picking up the phone, but easier.
Okay, fabulous. Any other challenges based off of the difference between, hey, here's my dream versus a reality?
In what sense?
With regard to you starting your new business.
Yeah, I mean, the dream versus the reality is two very different things. I said it in that letter, I was really naive going into business because I thought it would be really easy, actually. I thought I'm great at what I do. Obviously, we've worked together and you've seen the skill set that I've developed over time. And that was something that I thought would be really easy to go, right, I can do this. I can run ads. Who needs it? Find someone, bang. Perfect.
Done.
You know, the sun setting on the beach, right? It's far from that.
Cocktail in hand. Yeah. I've made it, guys.
I've done it. You know what I mean? It only took a month, right? 10 months later. The reality is, being a business owner, you're spinning so many different plates. And when you're coming from a corporate role, where in that business you're only doing a small portion of the wider business. You don't really I didn't, at least. You don't really appreciate the amount of plates that are spinning. So that's why I naively thought it'd be easy to do. going into it. So I've had to learn finance. That's been like a really big thing more recently. Sales, of course. That was never something I'd done, and something that I felt could be improved tenfold.
Yeah.
Even marketing myself sounds ridiculous that I'm great at marketing brands, but actually marketing myself on LinkedIn, on social medias is a different ball game. So having to learn all of those things from scratch has been a real challenge. But again, it's part of that real fulfillment that I've got from this whole journey. Is it's been a continuous journey of improvement.
Yeah.
And it's a great feeling once you've got your first client, once you've had even forget the clients, when you've had a successful phone call.
Yes.
It's a good feeling.
It's the small wins,
It's the small wins,
Yeah.
really it is. And I need to correct myself and go back to that, because that's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to celebrate the small wins a lot more. But celebrating those, sending your first email, sending your first proposal, calling your first client, landing your first client, landing the biggest client. That was my most recent win.
Wow.
So it's sort of a slow progress of growth, and it's really important to celebrate the small wins. But it doesn't come without challenges, of course.
100%.
All of those small wins have their own little individual challenges.
And they all kind of like build up to that overarching goal. So, going back to what you said, and we were talking about, yes, you have the goal, but then you have the process to get to that goal, which in effect, they become like small tasks. And then when you're able to complete a task, it becomes a small win that basically just lands up to that overarching goal.
Exactly.
So yeah, again, just falling in love with the process to get you to that overarching goal.
Definitely. Now that is where the joy is.
Yeah.
It's in those little small wins.
Yeah.
And I've really made an effort this year I've got a notes, goals achieved this year. And I write really small things in it.
Yeah.
Sort of first 100 outreach emails sent.
Wow.
Yeah, like really, really small things. I mean, this will go on today, first podcast appearance,
Yay.
those sort of things. And it's at least then I can kind of look back at the year and realize, oh, wow, I did a hell of a lot of things. I did tick a lot of those small wins off. Yeah. And it isn't just about the big goal at the end of the year. It's about sort of actually seeing the progress that you've made. Because by and large, if you are a big dreamer, there's no doubt that you're going to set really ambitious goals. And
10,000 followers.
10,000 followers, right? Very ambitious. And still a goal.
Still a goal.
Very much still the goal.
Yeah.
But super ambitious in such a short space of time. So being sort of somewhat realistic, but actually also setting those small goals and achieving those small goals is really important to reflect on the year and be like, I actually did achieve something.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't hit the biggest goal I set.
Yeah. Just helps to drive that overarching momentum and everything.
Definitely.
Okay, so you've spoken very elusively about a client that you have recently. I don't know how much you can talk about it, but can you give us an update as to where JMCLabs is as of this moment? Yeah,
definitely. So a couple weeks back, it didn't even start a few weeks back. That was when we sort of confirmed conversations and moved to a place of we're going to be working with each other.
Nice.
But the groundwork was really put in towards the end of last year.
Okay.
That was when we first connected.
Yeah.
And we had a few calls. Their business is, they're a camera company, an analog camera company.
Analog
camera. They're called Flashback.
Okay.
And they've got this really exciting product it's an offline camera. So no screen.
Yeah.
And replicates a disposable camera.
Okay, yes.
So it has the shutter, has the clicky feature, and takes really, really cool, nostalgic looking photos.
Okay.
Really great product. And I've started working with those guys, and they've more recently become my biggest client, which is really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, I've only recently just started working with them.
I feel as though it's going through those hard bits that really shape the journey. Everything isn't going to be sunshine and rainbows as it typically appears in my mind most times, but literally, it's going through those challenges that help us with our growth, right? So as much as I know you had like your vision, you've been through a few painful things, you've learned the art of speaking to potential clients. And I'm sure you're probably just refining that process. But I feel like even going through those challenges, it helps prepare us for the journey of life, which is always going to be throwing us curveballs, right? So since you've written to your future self, I'd like you to share with us like words of wisdom. So if you had to write like a love letter to your younger self, right? The James probably 5 years ago, 10 years ago, let's probably say 5 years ago, what would you want to say to your younger self?
Whew, that's a good question. Nothing's going to happen unless you start. That's a big one. Actually just committing to something and persisting with it.
Yes.
That would be the biggest one.
Yes.
I noticed I did a business course more recently. There was 2 sessions either end of the start and the finish that were in person, and the weeks in between were all online. So it wasn't until really the final week where you got to, or the final session, that you got to know everyone a bit better, or at least see them in person again. And in that session, we all pitched our businesses that we'd been working on for the 10 or 12 weeks that we'd been doing the course. And one thing stood out in that is that there were so many people that spoke about the fear of doing something, and that they'd have to overcome this fear of posting themselves online or starting a business. And we all have these limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And really understanding what those are is really pivotal. And I wish I could sort of go back and tell my younger self to do a bit more work in the mentality side of things. And that is an important part of self-improvement, or creating a business, or starting a channel like you have, is identifying what those limiting beliefs are.
Okay.
And basically inverting them. Okay. So I don't like to be on camera. Well, why don't you like to be on camera? Oh, well, I'm scared of being judged, or I'm camera shy. And it's not really until you work out why you don't like doing something, or why you have a fear of doing something, that you can really tackle the problem head on. Okay. And I had so many. I mean, everyone still does. I still do have so many limiting beliefs in some capacity, but I'm aware of them, and I've inverted them in a way that actually is, I can use them against themselves, essentially.
Interesting. I like that idea. So what you're saying in a nutshell, whatever it is that's stopping you from making a move or making a start, dive deeper into almost like the why.
Definitely.
And then once you identify, okay, well, why don't I like this? Inverting it.
Yes.
Yeah. Are there any sort of like limiting beliefs that you're still working on, where you're doing this inversion that you spoke of?
Many. In regards to business, is my service worth this amount of money? And that's a real big one. Yeah. For content, it's, do people actually want to hear what I have to say? Yeah. But both of those are not necessarily, I've said them out loud, and I've suggested that people won't want to listen to what I say.
Yes, I was just going to,
people won't want to pay me that amount of money. But the reality is, I've not asked anyone yet to know that for sure. Yeah. So therefore, that limiting belief must fall back on myself, in that I either don't value my services enough, or I don't believe people would like to hear what I have to say about business and starting a business. So that's where you've got to really kind of go backwards or invert it, and identify why that is. Why don't people? Yes. Why do I believe that people won't necessarily like what I have to say, or want to hear what I have to say? Yeah. Because I don't believe my opinion or my experience is valuable enough.
Yeah.
Why don't I think that? Because I haven't achieved the big goals that I want to achieve yet.
Yeah. This really reminds me of like another conversation that we had with Amy Cumbering from season 1, where we spoke about fear. And one of the aspects that she was talking about was sometimes we get so caught up in what other people think. If we have belief in ourselves and in what we're putting out there, then why are we so caught up in other people's opinions? If you have that firm belief, then just put it out. Just put it out there.
Definitely. And it's an excuse.
It is an excuse.
It's an excuse to validate why you don't want to put yourself out there.
100%. Yeah.
More than it is a reflection on what you've put out and people have judged.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to procrastinate. Procrastination essentially is just an excuse you're using because you're scared of doing something. That's simply put.
Agree, completely agree. What an inspirational journey it has been for you. You're still at the beginning phases, I would say, in taking that leap. So thank you for walking us through your journey so far. Can you tell the audience, like, how can they find you on social media?
Sure. You can find me on @FromStartToBusiness on the social channels. That's where I'm documenting my journey, starting a business, building a business. Lots more to come on that over the year. And for my business and any marketing or digital marketing inquiries, reach out on JMCLabs, @JMCLabs or jmclabs.co.
So, what did you think of that story? Pretty great, right? James's story reminds us that clarity doesn't always come before the leap. Sometimes it comes because of it. To anyone who's listening, who feels that pull but is scared of the discomfort in between, this is your reminder. The pain teaches you, the leap shapes you, and the doing changes everything. If this conversation stirred something in you, maybe it's time for you to write your own letter and take your own leap. Until next time, keep doing, keep growing, and keep awakening the ripple within you. We did it!
Well done.
Oh my gosh.
I'm red as a fuck.
You are quite red.
I'm seriously red.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Yeah?
Good. I actually really enjoyed that, aside from it being a new experience.